Welcome to the Thrive in Fashion podcast, where we explore the role of the fashion buyer, the knowledge and skill sets required for success, and the impact of the role in your retail business. In each episode, you will learn about industry best practice and how the buyer's role is evolving in this ever-changing, fast-paced industry. And now, here is your host, a fashion industry expert with over 20 years of experience, Elisabeth Mac Hale.
When you step into a buying office for the first time, it's an eye-opener for many. It's like entering a new world. The focus changes from theoretical principles to a fast-paced, results-driven environment where decisions made every day impact the company's bottom line. And this transition can be challenging. It's about moving beyond the classroom and applying your skills in a commercial setting where creativity meets strategy. For those who can adapt and embrace the reality of the role, the spreadsheets, the negotiations, the tight deadlines, the mix of creativity and commerce that defines retail buying, it can be the start of an exciting fashion buying career. Welcome to this week's episode of the Thrive in Fashion podcast. My name is Elisabeth Mac Hale. For anyone interested in or working in the field of fashion buying, merchandising and retail, this podcast is to help you thrive in the fashion industry. It offers practical insights, some real-world advice, and a little inspiration along the way. In this episode, I'm talking about what they don't teach you in fashion school. If you're stepping into the world of fashion buying for the first time, you might feel a bit overwhelmed. Trust me, you're not alone. I've been there, and I know firsthand that the gap between what you learn in college and what's expected of you in a retail office are two very different things. Fashion school is amazing for giving you a foundation and introducing you to all of the different aspects of the buyer's role, from design, product development, range planning, trend forecasting, and sourcing and supply chain. When you enter a buying office for the first time, it is like entering a whole new world. The buying office environment is dynamic, it's fast-paced, it's time-sensitive, and it's somewhere where practicality and precision and business acumen come to the forefront. Whether you enter a retail buying office role via a graduate program, from the retail floor, or after completing your studies, if you have not had an opportunity to do an internship, you may have a perception of what the role entails. And it's often very different. The reality is often very different from what you have imagined. I want to break some of the perceptions down and explain what the expectation is in comparison to what the reality is. And the first most common expectation seems to be common to most fashion industry roles, but especially when it comes to fashion buying or merchandising. Many people expect if you're working as a fashion buyer that it is super glamorous. We've all seen the glossy portrayal of fashion buying in movies, where there are glamorous offices, exciting trips to Paris or Milan for Fashion Week, and you might think that everyone is dressed in designer clothes and constantly talking about trends and making mood boards. There are glamorous moments, but the reality is much more about mundane tasks like checking prices, reading sales data and figures. In fact, when I have given a masterclass to students studying fashion buying, they are really surprised at the amount of sales and figures and data that is part of the buyer's role. It's not something that they were expecting. Much of your day in reality is spent buried in spreadsheets, analysing performance metrics, or troubleshooting production delays, or having meetings with suppliers about product development. The glamorous side is balanced by the nitty-gritty of ensuring products arrive on time. Preparing for meetings, managing critical paths, managing timelines, and making lots of decisions today that will have an impact on the business in a week, or 3 weeks' time, or 3 months is not for the faint-hearted. One aspect of the job that I really enjoyed is to attend trade shows. Each season, it's a great opportunity to see what other brands are doing, to see what new fabrics are coming out, to see what's being developed. While I may not classify it as glamorous, it can be really exciting. I enjoy the market visits, even though it's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of walking and a lot of heavy lifting of shopping bags. It can be quite exhausting. But it is in these moments, in particular when you get to attend a fashion show In the past, I have attended a fashion show and thought how much I love my job. I'm not thinking about all the emails and approvals that await my return to the office, or that I am tired and my feet are sore from so much walking and that I'm not going to get home till late at night. That's the other side of it. You can't have one without the other. Ultimately, if you love what you're doing, if you're really passionate about what you're doing, you're not going to be attracted by something just for the glamour of it. The job is not easy. The buying job is not easy. There are lots of times it's really difficult and challenging, but discovering new products and getting new ideas and being inspired by the market, and that you're going to carry those ideas back to the office, that makes up for some of the sore feet and the lack of sleep. I think one of my most memorable trips was to travel to Tokyo to visit the team and the head office of Sanrio and Hello Kitty. If you're familiar with the character and the brand, it's one that I have grown up knowing. It was a surreal moment when I got to go there, because for years I had known this brand and never imagined I would have the opportunity to go to the place where it all started and to meet the team responsible for making that brand. Sometimes small things like that are amazing moments that you go, wow, I'm actually doing this. And for me, they're the glamorous moments that I remember. Many aspiring buyers believe that on day one, their job will involve shaping a product range based purely on their creative instincts. You may picture yourself choosing prints and colors and maybe specific silhouettes to be part of a new collection. The truth is that while creativity is part of the job, every decision that you make is tied to the company's business goals. Depending on the department or category that you are assigned to, this may be women's wear or kids' wear or men's wear, buyers work within a framework. There are budget constraints, open to buy limits, costing challenges, customer profiles, sales targets, etc. So that oversized neon trench coat that you love, it's probably not going to make it into the range if the sales data shows that your customers actually prefer timeless pieces in more neutral tones. I started my career as a designer before moving into a buying role, and I probably had more of an idea about the process of design and how the product buying decisions were made. I think understanding the market is really fundamental and always your starting point as to how you plan your range or allocate your budget. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is. And to give you an example, for a lot of my career, I was working in the European market. As a result, I was very familiar with different consumer tastes, consumer trends, and colour preferences. Within the kidswear categories for basic items, there were certain colours that were the top selling colours for boys and girls. So in girls' wear, white and cream and pink and maybe some grey melange were always going to be in the top 5 best-selling colours. In boys' wear, the trend was navy, black, grey melange, maybe red or blue, that were consistently in the top 5. When I moved to work in the Middle East and started to understand how similar items performed there, what specific styles, what the quantities were like, but more importantly, what the colours were like, I was really surprised when the buyers told me that the best-selling colours in some of the basic lines for boys included mustard yellow or chocolate brown. I remember thinking, I'm going to have to check the sales figure. Surely that can't be right. However, sure enough, while navy, black and grey melange were there, they were not necessarily number 1, 2 and 3. It was brown and yellow and red, and then followed by navy and black. For girls, the colours included pink and cream, but also included yellow and red. So you can never afford to make assumptions without understanding market nuances, and the sales data supports those buying decisions. Being able to compare one market to another actually helps you to understand why customers make the buying decisions they do. Another expectation versus reality focuses on trends and forecasting trends. And for someone who has spent long hours researching runway shows and studying trend reports and feels extremely confident on their ability to spot the next big thing, the reality is that trend forecasting is not the main factor driving buying decisions. Sales data, customer insights, and margins take precedence and are a large part of the mix before a final decision is made. It's not always just about what's cool. It has to be about what will sell and make a profit. Let me share 2 examples with you. In one of my past roles, we were planning a range for the upcoming season. When reviewing the sales data from the key ranges, there was one particular item that stood out. It was a V-neck t-shirt without any embellishment or design details. It was a style that we had modified to make longer, so we had changed the spec and we made it longer in length and changed the weight of the single jersey cotton fabric from 160 GSM to 180 GSM. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't exciting, but the numbers didn't lie. It had actually sold really well and outperformed our conservative estimates. I pushed to keep it in the range and introduce additional colour options and increase the order quantities. This V-neck t-shirt became a core item in the range and a consistent high-selling item each season. Its simplicity and the fit appealed to a wide range of our customers who came back for repeat purchases, and the additional colours also flew off the shelves. Sometimes that product that you think is boring ended up being a key driver of revenue, proving that it's not always about reinventing the wheel or bringing in the next best thing, but about delivering what your customers want. On the other side of this, there was one season where we had developed a stunning hero statement jacket. It was something that was on trend and definitely something made for social media moments. However, when we were planning the quantities and comparing to historical sales of similar hero item pieces, the figures suggested that these sort of high-price statement pieces rarely performed very well for us. On this occasion, despite the numbers, we decided to place an order for double the quantity initially planned. And the thinking was, the timing is different, this one is different, this is going to do really well. You can guess what the outcome was. It was a disaster. Customers found it too expensive. It didn't align with our core audience, and as a result, we ended up with significant markdowns to clear the stock. The learning here is that in fashion buying, the sales data isn't there to, stop your creativity, but it's a tool to guide your decision making and to mitigate the risks. That's the most important thing. Every decision that you make as a buyer is an educated one. A good buyer will have already done their homework, and the decision that they make at the end of the day is based on facts, research, results, and making an educated decision rather than one that's off the cuff. Combining your creative instincts, your gut instincts, your eye for product with your actual customer insights and your sales data, that's what helps you achieve that perfect balance between creativity and commercial success. Another misconception is that as a fashion buyer, it's all about product, and it's natural perhaps to think that your job is just about picking products. In the past, when I have been asked what my job is and I explain that I work as a fashion buyer, and people have asked, what does that mean? Do you go to showrooms and just pick products off the rails? I wish it was as simple as that. While selecting products is an important part of the role, buying is fundamentally about understanding the numbers. You can't pick products without having a clear framework, a clear budget, margin targets, and knowledge of your department's performance metrics. A successful buyer is one that balances all of these things together. Let me give you an example. In a previous season where we were planning a new range of summer dresses, when we sat down to review all of the development and review the range, we found that we had much more than what we needed or could actually fit into our buying budget. Sometimes, if you're not keeping track, you can get carried away with some of the development, or that you have suppliers bringing too many great samples and ideas. On the one hand, you could make a decision to increase the total budget, but in most cases, you have to review products and review the costs and see how they all work together. In this instance, when we looked at the costs of the products versus our price point structure and planned quantity buys, we found that from the styles presented, we had too many that were fitting into the highest or the exit price point versus the entry and mid price points. When something like this happens, it's not just a case of moving products from one price point to another, because each product at each price point has to represent different value to the customer. It has to offer value for money. Where it can be confusing for a customer is that when you've got two products side by side, merchandised on the shop floor close to each other, and there is a difference in price point, but your customers are not seeing that reflected in the product, you're causing them to question, well, why would I pay more for this garment? I may as well go for the less expensive one. This is why your price points and your products have to be really clear. There's got to be a difference between both on offer. It's got to be visible to the customer. Why would they be willing to pay an extra $20 for product A versus product B? While product is really important, without a solid understanding of your budgets and price points and margins, even the most amazing designs that you're super excited about may not make it into the final range. It's always about editing and curating that range to fit within the financial metrics that you have to work with. What they don't teach you in fashion school is that a buying office is very far removed from glossy runways and trend boards. It's where decisions about what makes it to the shop floor are meticulously calculated. It's balancing that eye for product and gut instinct with actual hard data. The thrill comes not just from designing clothes and product ranges, but shaping collections that resonate with your customers' needs and that ultimately delivers results for the business. It's definitely a role that demands resilience, lots of commercial acumen, and the ability to think 5 steps ahead, qualities that textbooks don't truly prepare you for. The missing link or the missing part of the jigsaw is how to bridge that gap between the theoretical world of fashion and the high-pressure, results-driven environment of a buying office where you hit the deck running on day one. The transition can be overwhelming. Suddenly, you're expected to juggle sales data, understand how to negotiate with the supplier, manage critical paths, and focus on the customer insights while keeping an eye on margins and trends. It's no longer now just about creativity. It's about strategy, precision, and delivering value. It was this gap that I saw constantly that was my inspiration for creating the Thrive in Fashion Buying and Merchandising course. The course breaks down the core responsibilities of a buyer and breaks down even the most complex tasks into actionable steps, even if you don't have someone guiding and training you, from understanding key metrics, mastering range planning, building your supplier relationships, and fine-tuning your range building skills and how it all comes together to equip you with industry-based working knowledge, tools, and insights that you need to succeed. And beyond the technical skills, it combines industry experience with practical guidance and bridges that gap between classroom knowledge and ensures that you can fit into the buying office with confidence and clarity and the ability to make an impact. Until next time.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share the show. For more of Elisabeth's industry tips and to learn more about how you can develop your buying skills, visit thriveinfashion.com. There you can find show notes for this episode and every episode. Also, register for the Thrive in Fashion program and sign up for weekly news delivered straight to your inbox. Until next time.